أهلا وسهلا فيكم لأغرب لعبة ممكن تشوفوها يعني بتاريخ الألعاب الغريبة، وهي لعبة ستانلي. خلينا نكتشف هاي اللعبة مع بعضنا ونشوف عن ايش بتحكي. أوكي. آه حلوة هاي إنه كمبيوترات جوا بعضهم عبارة عن اللانهاية. لنبدأ اللعبة. أوكي، نحن موظف اسمه ستانلي، رقم الموظف 427. شغلتنا بس نضغط على الزر على الكيبورد لما بيطلبوه منا. وهلا ما بتجينا أوامر، وقفت الأوامر عن المجيء. شو بدنا نعمل؟ ما بعرف شو بدنا نعمل. هل نطلع من هون؟
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
طيب أروح على غرفة الاجتماعات. هلا
No
اسمع
matter how
كلمة.
hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
طيب غرفة الاجتماعات وينها؟ فيني أفتح البواب؟ هذا شغال راح أطفيه. غيره؟ في هون شي. في هون غرفة. شلون بفوت عليها؟ ما بقدر. أوكي، بدك يعني أروح على غرفة الاجتماعات صح؟ هذا الباب يفتح؟ لا. 417 هذا مو مكتبي، هذا مكتب غير واحد. أوكي 415 كمان مو مكتبي.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
شو رأيكم نسمع كلمته ولا ما نسمع كلمته؟ طيب رح أسمع كلمته. روح على اليسار يلا. شوف في هون، هاي غرفة الاجتماعات صح؟
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
لازم أروح على مكتب الرئيس. أوكي، شو في على الطاولات؟ في شغلات غريبة على الطاولات. في شي تاني أروح عليه؟ شو هاد؟ أوكي ما في شي مهم. طيب لازم أروح على مكتب الرئيس. هذا الباب فتح، مكتوب عليه شي غرفة خزانة التنظيف.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
لا أنا ما بدي أسمع كلمتك، أنا بدي أضل جوا. في شي هون.
There was nothing here, no choice to make, no
كذاب.
path to follow, just an empty
أنت
broom
تكذب.
closet. No reason to still be here.
في شي هون أنت عم تحاول تخبي علي. شو في؟ خزانة؟ شو في؟ مكنسة؟
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way.
لن أخرج من هنا
He's
أبدا.
literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
لن أخرج لحتى تقول لي إيش في هون. إيش في هون؟ قل لي إيش في.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
قل لي إيش في هون. قل لي شو هاد؟ افتح.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance
طب
to
ليش
the
عندك
story
صار لك ساعة بتحكي عن
whatsoever.
الخزانة إذا
I
الخزانة
never
مو
would have
مهمة
thought to
حبيبي؟
mention it.
اشرح لي فهمني ليش أنت صار لك ساعة بتحكي عن هاي الغرفة إذا هاي الغرفة ما لها أهمية. في شي
Maybe to
مهم.
you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite."
يعني في نهاية
I hope
العلاقة
your
بهاي
friends
الغرفة.
find this concerning.
أوكي خلص أطلع.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection.
هلا ليش عم
That's how
تتنمر علي
stupid he
هلا؟
is. That or with drug money. Also
لماذا
Stanley's
تتنمر
addicted
علي؟
to drugs and hookers.
بطلت أطلع خلاص. أنا بدي أنام هون. أنا قعدت على الأرض
Well,
وبدي
I've
أنام
come
هون.
to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this,
هو
the
مفكرني متت
responsible
هلا.
thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose.
لا حبيبي أنا لساتني
Hello?
قاعد هون.
Anyone who happens to be nearby, the person at this computer is dead.
حبيبي أنا
They
هون.
fall and prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right.
طيب إيش رأيكم نطلع هلا ولا نتركه؟ أوكي شكله خلص الحوار فأنا رايح أطلع. خلص هلا هو اعتقد إني متت فأنا هلا رايح أطلع.
Second player. It's good to have you
هو
on
بيعتقد
board.
إني واحد
I
تاني هلا.
guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
لا يا سكر الباب. أوكي.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
upstairs طيب ماشي. هاي upstairs يلا بنسمع كلمة. هذا شو؟ ما بستفيد منه. واو هذا المكان حلو. وين غرفة المكتب؟ هذا الحمام مو؟ فرجيني الحمام. اوكي. اكسترا باثرومز. احلى مجلة. ما في شي هون؟ ما في شي. طيب وين غرفة الرئيس؟ شو هذا الباب؟ ما بياخذني على مكان بس في شي وراها. في شي عم يبين هيك شي غريب عم يبين من ورا. في شي ورا هذا الباب. طيب هذا هو الغرفة.
Stepping into his manager's
ليش
office,
سكرت؟
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked,
كبير.
unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And
شو هي
so the
الحقيقة
boss had assigned
المريعة؟
it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly.
إيه أنا ما
have
بعرف
known
هذا
this.
الرمز. أنا شلون بدي أعرفه؟ أنا ما بقدر أسمعك. أنا ما بعرف الرمز. شلون راح أعرف الرمز؟
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
أوكي.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the
بالصدفة
keypad,
عرفته مو لأني سمعتك على
Stanley
فكرة
happened
يعني
to
بالصدفة.
input the correct
شو صار؟
code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
في شي هون فتح. شو هاد؟ اوكي انا بلشت اخاف. طلعنا من العالم تبعنا. هذا عالم تاني. في شي هون؟ انا ما بعرف وين انا صرت. هنيك غرفة البوس وهون هذا شو هذا مصعد. طيب
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now?
أنا
when for
أتساءل عن
years
طبيعة
it
عملي.
had never occurred to him. This question would not go unanswered for long.
شو قصدك؟ قصدك راح تجاوبني عن طبيعة
Stanley
عملي؟
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
مؤسسة التحكم بالعقل. شو هي؟ اسكابي. مين بيعرف مارك بلاير؟ أنا شفت فيديو لمارك بلاير فلذلك قررت أعمل هاي اللعبة يعني بناء على الفيديو اللي هو عمله. اسكيب. نهرب ولا نروح على المايند كنترول؟ شو بدكن؟ نهرب؟ لا تعال نروح على المايند كنترول نشوف شو في جوا. شو في هون؟ في زر، هلا اضغطوا الزر. شوفي هون ارقام وفي زر حلو. ها رح اضغط الزر، ما بقى احسن. اضغط الزر.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
ما هي الأسرار الفظيعة الموجودة هنا؟
The strength to find out.
أريد أن أعرف الأسرار. زر تاني وهون ما في شيء. أكيد لا أضغط على الزر، أكيد.
Now the monitors jumped
واو،
to life.
هي صورنا.
Their true nature revealed.
أرقام
Each bore the
الموظفين.
number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
طيب زر كمان. شو هذا زر مصعد. أوكي بدي مصعد.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
لا، عم يتحكموا بعقلي.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
عم يتحكموا بعقلي. أنا يتم غسيل دماغي يوميا في هذه الشركة.
Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
لا. أوكي وين أنا بقدر أطلع من هون صح؟
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
هذا قلب العملية.
Controls
أوكي.
labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content.
هون.
Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink
Offline.
in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
اوكي يعني انا هلا لازم اطفي التحكم بالعقل صح؟ سيستم باور اوف اون. انا هي اللي بتطفيها. طيب اوف من له. هل هي بتطفيها؟ طفيناها صح؟ ولا اكلنا هوا؟ اذا خدعوني بدي ازعل.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
انا ما عم بشوف شيء.
Was it over?
هل انتهى؟ هل نجونا؟
Yes.
في شيء.
He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his
هذا المخرج بقدر أطلع.
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber,
بصراحة ما بدي أعرف خلص.
none of this
باي.
mattered to him.
وداعاً.
For it was not knowledge or even
وداعاً
power
أنا
that
بدي
he
أطلع
had been
خلص.
seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do.
نعم لن يجبرني أحد على
Whatever
العمل.
life he lives,
أنا
it will
حر
be
الآن.
his.
فرجيني المكان حلو ها.
That was all
كتير
he
حلو.
needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
خليني أطلع.
Stanley
Wow.
felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation,
لقد ربحت.
the immense
لقد نجوت.
possibility
هربت
of
من
the new
التحكم
path
بالعقل.
before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
ستانلي سعيد. خلصناها. حلوة. بس هي وحدة من النهايات. لأنه أنا شفت كلمة هروب. أنا بدي أشوف باب الهروب هداك شو قصته. رجعني للأول. طيب بدي أشوف باب الهروب شو
All of his
قصته.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
خلاص
Stanley
سكوت صرت أعرف
decided to go to
الطريق.
the meeting room. Perhaps
هون
he had
فيني أروح
simply
له.
missed a memo.
بدي أجرب باب الهروب. هو قال لي
When
اروح على
Stanley
اليسار
came
صح؟
to a set of two open doors, he entered
خلاص
the
راح
door
اسمع
on his
كلمته، راح
left.
اروح على اليسار مشان اشوف غرفة الاجتماعات. هي غرفة الاجتماعات،
Yet there
ما
was
في
not
حدا
a
هون.
single
اوكي بعرف
person
انه ما في
here
حدا هون.
either. Feeling a wave of
هلا
disbelief,
الخزانة.
Stanley decided to go up to his Oh no, oh no, 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 not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
اوكي طيب انا بوين هون. لا بمزح معك، خلاص جاي خلاص لا تزعل.
Coming to a staircase,
لا تزعل
Stanley
رايحين
walked
على
upstairs to
غرفة
his boss's
الرئيس
office.
وبدنا نهرب. بدي اشوف طريق الهرب وين بياخذني.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of
شد كان
anything
كلمة
in
السر.
life. Stanley was in such a rush to
هاي.
get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
لا ما بدي اخليك
That kind of
تحكي خلاص.
anxiety isn't healthy.
ما
So
بدي
he
اخليك تحكي،
relaxed
بدي العب
for a
قبل ما
few
انت
moments
تحكي.
with some calming new age music.
خلاص. ايش صار معك؟ ايش صار معك يا اخي؟
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly
تعالي بقى.
walked forward into the opened passageway.
وينه؟ عصب مني. بدي لسه راح تعصب اكثر. لسه استنى والله بدي اجننك استنى. اوكي نزلنا لتحت. شو صار؟ في شيء تغير. هي اول مرة بيعمل لودينج هون. في شيء تغير. ما بعرف ايش اللي تغير بس في شيء تغير.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
لا حبيبي انا رايح من
Facility.
هون.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
وات؟ عن جد عم تحكي؟ ايش رايكم؟ يلا بدي اعرف ايش فيه. الفضول قتل القطة. مين بيعرف هذا المثل
The
الشعبي؟
door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
بقدر ارجع؟ فرجيني، بقدر ارجع؟ لدي كل فرصة بالرجعة، معناتها بقدر ارجع صح؟ إذا رجعت شو بيقول؟ هذا هو الباب، بالفعل ما تسكر الباب.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
لا حبيبي لا حبيبي أنا بدي أعرف إيش
Still
في
on
هون.
board with death?
لا حبيبي بدي أروح. بدي أعرف إيش في هون. أنا بس رحت مشان أشوفك إيش بدك تحكي. بصراحة يعني رحت لهنيك بس مشان أشوف ردة فعلك. بصراحة ردة فعله كويسة. كأنه هالممر ما له
At this
نهاية.
point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
في شيء مخيف هون. يمين ويسار ما في شيء بس تحت. شو صار؟ وات اوكي وين انا؟ ما بعرف وين انا.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
طب انا رايح
Stanley can't
لهنيك؟
see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of
شلون
what
بدي
this
أهرب؟
world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the
حبيبي أنا
eyeballs
بدي
from
أهرب
a
لهون
man.
أو لهون
So
أو
he
أي مكان.
resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief
خليني
and
أوطي.
shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
ما صار لي شيء مو؟ إذا وطيت راسي ما صار لي شيء.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
بس حبيبي أنا ما صار
In
لي
a
شيء.
single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him
هلو أنا
instantly.
هون. ما صار لي شيء أنا نزلت. شو في من هون؟ اوكي فكروني متت، بس منيح اذا فكروني متت احسن ما يفكروني. شو هذا عنوان اللعبة.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
طيب هذا مكان جديد، هي أول مرة بوصل على هذا المكان باللعبة.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit
هذا
start?
مكتبي، هذا مكتبي. هاي المكاتب الثانية، هي اوفيس لاي اوت. هاي المكاتب الثانية، غرفة الاجتماعات وين غرفة الاجتماعات؟ هاي كوريدور. هاي الغرفة شو هي؟ البابين، ايه الباب اليمين والباب اليسار هدول هنن. حلو. شو هاد؟ The office. هاي شو؟ button sounds. وهاي اسماء الموظفين اللي شاركوا باللعبة. اوكي وهذا عم يلعب ورا وهذا ما بعرف شو عم يسوي. خلينا اطفي لهم الاجهزة كلها. شو في هون؟ وهي الخزانات. طيب وين نروح، يمين ولا يسار؟ تعال روح يمين. هاي الساعة. هذا معرض، هذا معرض لكل شيء باللعبة صح؟ طيب هديك بتاخذني لفوق وهي بتاخذني لهون.
Perfect example of poor level design. Then he pushed the number 4. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this
صرعتوني
easy
حبيبي.
on you.
The lounge. اوكي انا ما بعرف وين اروح هلا. هي اول مرة بوصل على هذا المكان بهي اللعبة. ما عندي اي فكرة شو اعمل ولا وين اروح. هاي نهاية الحرية، هاي اللي وصلنا عليها. حصل على حريته ستانلي. هاي شو هاي اللي وصلنا عليها قبل شوي.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
طيب اشغلها لا اطفيها. بقدر اتفاعل مع هاي؟ تفاعلت معها والله.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
مين؟
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
ايش اسوي؟
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
اطلع من اللعبة؟
As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice.
لا ما راح ارد عليك.
Choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let
انا ما بصدقك. I don't believe you. شو صار؟ هاي اللعبة شاد فيها شاشات سوداء، فيها كتير شاشات سوداء. رجعتوني لهون. طيب ماشي هالمرة.
What could it mean?
هالمرة أنا بطلت أسمع
Stanley
كلمة.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I hate Mondays. أوكي. محتوى جديد؟ لا أنا قبل المحتوى الجديد بدي أروح.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
لا بطلت أسمع
This
كلمة.
was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ما فيني أفتح ولا باب من هدول الأبواب. هاي اللونج.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
هذا الباب؟ قصدك هاد؟ لا ما بدي. أنا بطلت أسمع كلمة.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
شو في هون؟ اوكي نطلع من هاي.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
لا.
I'm not asking for me.
سأتخذ قراراتي بنفسي بدون
This is it, Stanley.
تأثير من
Your
أحد.
chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
انسى. مين هي؟ مين هي؟ شو صار؟
That's her,
Whoa.
Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
لا ما راح أرد على التليفون. ما راح أرد. قررت إني ما أسمع كلمة. بقدر أفصل هاد؟
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited.
حبيبي أنا فصلت التليفون.
Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone?
نعم
No,
لقد
that wasn't
فصلته.
supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You
رحت لهون
actually
وكبست عليه.
chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double
ولا أنا.
check.
صراحة ما كنت بعرف بس جيت لهون كبست عليهم لحاله انفصل عن
It's
جد.
definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he
No.
finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? Wait a second. Did I just see? No, that's not possible. I can't believe it.
شو؟
How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
تدا أنا شخص حقيقي أتحكم
So
بستانلي.
mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop
Really?
the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional
لا
video.
خلاص خلاص
Choice. It's the
Like,
best
خلاص،
part of
شيله.
being a real person.
ما فيني أشيله.
But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a
أوكي
choice
خلاص
that
فهمنا
does
بدك
not
تعلمني
conform
درس.
to
أوكي أنا
rational
تعلمت
logic.
الدرس خلاص.
If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back sack and crack." Excellent.
أوكي
Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
أوكي ذبحتني والله العظيم طلعت لي عيوني.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Really? لازم أسمع كلمة؟ أنا ما بدي أسمع كلمة. ما في شيء أسوي؟ أي شيء تاني. اي شيء. طيب انا بدي اقعد هون واستنى. لا طيب خلاص ماشي، ها جيت. ايش بدك؟ بدك ترجعني مو بدك ترجعني لهون؟ سكرت الباب وراي يا ايش؟ سكر الباب وراي مشان ما ارجع.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
طيب خلاص ماشي ماشي. ما بقدر ازت حالي من هون؟ ما بقدر. شدك واحد. طيب شو هي؟ خلاص رجعتني. رجعت. شو هي؟
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
ضروري اخذ الباب؟ ضروري اروح بالباب هداك؟ اي باب؟ انا بصراحة بدي اسمع كلمة بس ما بعرف اي باب قصدك.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
البوابة مسكرة بس.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
شو صار؟ شو صار؟ خرب العالم. خرب العالم لأني جيت من هون؟ أبو إيش سويت أنا؟ أنا ما بدي أروح. ما في شي هون أسوي. طيب ماشي. أوكي جيت ماشي خلاص.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know.
قربنا اللعبة.
What do I do? No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to.
لا تسكر اللعبة.
I have to.
لا خلاص والله رجعت لا تسكر. شو سوى؟ لك شو سويت؟
I'm here. I'm still here in this pile of rubbish, with you, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it?
لا أنا مشاغب.
That there's a world outside of you. You're a child. Oh, my story.
نزعت لك القصة.
If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
لعبت هذيك وربحت وطلعت على العالم الحقيقي مش الحال.
Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
حاولت.
Behave exactly as Stanley would.
طيب خلاص خلاص ماشي هالمرة راح نسمع كلام. القصة ما راح تخليني أكمل لحتى أسمع كلمة، فافتح لي الباب يلا.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
والله جننته المسكين. طيب خلاص جيت. في شيء جديد؟ ما تغير شيء.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
هي ما بتفتح. ليش ما بتفتح؟ أنا بحبها هاي الغرفة. تبا لك. تبا لك.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
عم تمزح معي. سكر الطريق لتحت. سكروا. عشان ما انزل، عشان يجبرني اسمع كلمة. تبا لك. بدي اروح على الحمام. ما بخليني اروح كمان. طيب بدي اروح هون. تبا لك ماشي.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
المكتب
Unraveled,
تغير.
Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Nightshark 115. شوت كانت.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Nightshark 115. ما بتشتغل، مستحيل تشتغل على الميكروفون.
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
ما عندي
You didn't
ميكروفون.
mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
لك ما بمشي الحال حبيبي.
Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door.
لك حبيبي والله حكيت. بس ما بيسمعني أنت.
Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself.
خلاص لا تعيط علي. خلاص.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
هذا أنا؟
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need to make a choice.
شو صار؟
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right?
خلصت اللعبة. ما بعرف شو صار. طلعت من جسمي.
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose.
حاولت.
Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there?
Okay. It's okay.
طيب خلاص.
Wait.
I can wait. بده يستنى لسه.
To decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do.
طيب فينا نطلع من اللعبة؟
Take as much time as you need.
شو هلا؟ رجعني لهون. طيب أنا بدي
All
أنزل
of his
لتحت.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
بدي أنزل
Stanley
لتحت.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ما راح أطلع لعند البوس. وهون نيو كونتنت بس ما راح أشوفه هلا.
When
طيب هذا
Stanley
شفناه
came to a
رايح
set
على
of
الباب
two open doors, he
الصح.
entered the door on his left.
هاي
Yet there was
الغرفة
not a
شغالة
single
منيح.
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's
لا.
office, hoping he might find an answer there.
لا. ريلي خليني أفوت. يا زلمة خليني أفوت. طيب
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to
لا،
his
ده
boss's
انزل.
office.
بدي أنزل. ما بدي أروح لفوق. بدي أنزل. شو هاي؟ أريد النزول للأسفل.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he
شو صار؟
believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Exit.
All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single
عم برجع على
moment
نفس
for
المكان.
no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
إجراي؟
Why did doors close automatically behind him
ما
wherever
عندي
he
إجرين.
went? And for that matter, these rooms
والبوابة
were starting to look
بتتسكر.
pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
الغرف عم
Maybe
تتكرر
Stanley said to
حبيبي.
himself,
أنا
this
انتبهت.
is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This
أنا
is all a
بحلم.
dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
ما هو السؤال؟
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
مزبوط. ليش
Now
أنت عم
the
تقرأ
voice was
أفكاري؟
describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
أنا بطلت أمشي.
After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float amid the
هذا
magical
حلم؟
stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
شلون؟
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
طيب أريد أن
He felt
أستيقظ.
the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
لا تقول لي هلا بفيق بمكتبي.
he thought to himself.
هلا راح أفيق بالمكتب نفسه أول واحد صح؟
I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
كل شيء على ما يرام.
I am okay.
ما استفدنا شيء.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
شو صار؟
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man
هذا هو
who
ستانلي؟
had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body.
هي مثل ستانلي معناتها.
And ran.
في حدا براسه عم يحكي، صح؟ اوكي. شو بدك مني هلا؟
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
The end is never the end. شو هاد؟ The end is never the end. اوكي النهاية هي ليست النهاية. شو في هون؟ ما بقدر افتح هدول؟ بدي اعرف ايش في هنيك. New content. لا ما بدي.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
لا. دخل على الباب على
This was
اليمين.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ربما أريد أن أستمتع بغرفة الموظفين.
Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
إلى اليسار.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
هون برجع على الطريق وهون بروح على مكان جديد. لا بروح على مكان جديد طبعا. أنا بحب المكان الجديد. هاي اللعبة كلها فيها أماكن جديدة.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
بس أنا بدي يمين. Really؟ ما بدك تخليني؟ ما بدك تخليني أروح؟ هذا بيفتح؟ طيب راح أسمع كلمة. هات خذني.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
يا زلمة.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
خلصني.
It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
ضيع.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Really? متأكد؟ شوفي هون ما فيني اروح من هون. طيب لا رجعتني لهون.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
ما بدي.
Okay. We just
ما بدي أغير عيوني.
back to who am I kidding?
سبويلر.
It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
لك لا.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
هذا الباب لساته مفتوح ما تسكر وراي. ليش ما تسكر هذا الباب؟ ليش حطوني إمكانية إني أرجع؟ بس مكتبي مسكر. أوكي. حلو. إلى غرفة الاجتماعات نروح، إيش رأيكم؟ ولا نروح على غير غرفة؟ هدول البابين يمين ويسار.
Wait, what?
What?
No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change?
أنا ما سويت شيء.
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or...
أنا ما سويت ولا شيء.
Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
طيب أنا منين بدي أروح؟ شلون بدي أعرف أي باب أروح عليه؟ راح أبلش من أول باب. أنا جيت من هون، راح أبلش من أول باب من اتجاه اليمين. أنا ضيعت ما بعرف وين أروح. شو صار؟ دخلنا على الباك رومز يعني؟
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
لا يا أخي لا. كنت مبسوط.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
طيب رايح على غرفة الاجتماعات تنشوف. ما في بواب.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
بدك يعني أرجع؟ طيب. مكبوبة له على الأرض. طيب. طفي لي هدول الكمبيوترات ليش شغالين؟
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The
إيش شو؟
story. Here it comes.
إيش شو؟ قل لي. احكي لي إيش أسوي؟
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
يا أخي صرعتني. ليش تغير؟ أنا ما جيت من هون. أنا ما سويت شي والله.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
أنا بصراحة ضيعت ما بعرف
Since
شو
I've
بصير.
completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, Good job.
اوكي شكرا.
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
لا خلاص أنا مبسوط هون.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
إيش مفكرني غبي يعني حاط لي هاد مشان ألحقه؟ بلكي ما بدي ألحقه. طيب يلا راح ألحق الخط. حبيبي غلط. طريق من هون. طريق من هون. هون ما في شيء.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
خلاص يعني ما بتسمح لي ألعب من هنيك. طيب أوكي. وين الخط؟ طيب هذا جديد هذا المكان. طفي لي هذا. أبي ألعب ورق أثناء الدوام. أوكي.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence. Right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
لا شيل الموسيقى يا زلمة. ليش وي اوكي. شو في هون؟ أنا بدي أوصل بس مشان تروح الموسيقى. لحظة، أكيد في شي هون صح؟ لا.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
طيب حفظتها. طيب إيش أعمل يعني؟ بدك يعني أتذكر المشية هاي صح؟ طيب
Wait, we're back at the office? No. Mine. You do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
وين بدك يعني أروح؟ طيب هاي البداية. أنا جيت من هون وجيت من هون، معناتها هون الجديد.
No, not again. line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Well, I can't take this anymore. Go with it. Restart.
حاول تعملي ريستارت. ما استفدنا شيء من
You know
الخط.
what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh,
Okay.
this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
أي دايركشن؟ من هون؟ أوكي.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your
حبيبي
imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley.
هذا المكان
I'm
كأنه
ready for it.
فيه مشكلة. ما بشوف ولا باب. أنت وين
No,
جبتني؟
not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
طيب. يا ربي هذا الخط مو زعجني غير هذا الخط. منيح راح. لا تقلي راح يرجع.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay.
طيب
So I
نمشي
know that
بدايرة.
each door has to
بدي
lead
أدور بدايرة.
which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going?
طيب.
And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one.
Okay.
Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
هذا ما بصير أفوت عليه؟ ما بيصير. إيش في هون؟
Oh, hold up, what's this?
You're being playing.
Confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
8 مرات لازم نعيد
Really how
اللعبة؟
all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this
طيب أنا بقعد هون وبستناك لحتى تقرر.
wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on.
أنت اللي عم تخلي كلمة اللعبة.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
أنت اللي عم تعمل ريستارت مو أنا.
Stopped? Does that mean did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The whatever it is that made this schedule?
البابين بيروحوا
I don't
لهون.
even know. Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
عيد اللعبة حبيبي.
Okay.
عيد اللعبة ما في غيرها. ما في غير هذا الحل.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do...
اوكي حلو. اوكي وين بدك يعني اروح؟ طلعنا. لحظة. هاد نلعب بيجي الصوت.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere.
ما راح أوقف
And
الرسالة.
have a pleasant day.
أنا رجعت لنفس المكان؟ لا مش الحق. New content. هل نشوف المحتوى الجديد ولا نكمل؟
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
طيب. بدي أشوف وين الخط.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
تغيرت الكتابة. تغيرت الكتابة هنيك. كل مرة معناتها بتتغير الكتابة. لحظة هذا انفتح. ليش شو قصة الدب؟ استراتيجية البزنس. طيب. فوق ولا تحت؟ اوكي. ما بعرف وين اروح. هل بيفرق بين فوق وتحت؟ ما بعرف. يا زلمة خلص طالعني. ها رجعني لهون. اوكي ما استفدنا شيء.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
اوكي هو حتى مل من الموضوع. اوكي انا رجعت مشيت باللعبة ووصلت لعند هون وهلا راح نفعل الآلة مشان نشوف ايش بيصير بالخيار الثاني.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
نعم لقد
After they kept you
فعلته.
enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
نعم أريد الكنترول.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's
بس
only
السيت
so
offline.
much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it?
يا زلمة ليش؟
It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood.
Okay, في طريقة إني أربح.
I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes
طيب هنيك
I simply let you
الكنترول.
sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though. This has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
ضاف لي وقت.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow.
في هون شي جوا.
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right
بصراحة
now?
ما عندي فكرة ايش
Or
عامل.
did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
وين زر الأحمر؟
Stanley, that this video game can be beaten, won, solved. Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
وين زر الأحمر الكبير؟ هاد.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment.
وينه؟
But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble.
طيب قول لي وين الزر الأحمر؟
It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you...
Goodbye.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom...
طبعا شو أعمل؟
No ending here, just you being blown to pieces.
طيب اوكي خلاص أنا استسلمت. ما في حل.
Another choice. Make it
اوكي ها قعدت هون.
It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
اوكي هاي النهاية ما عجبتني. هذه النهاية سيئة. اوكي هاي كانت لعبة ستانلي. لعبة غريبة جدا، لعبة الراوي بيحكي فيها كل شيء. في هون محتوى جديد، بس هاي رح اتركها لحلقة مستقبلية اذا رح نعمل حلقة مستقبلية لانه هاي كبيرة شوي. وهيك هاي هي لعبة ستانلي، فبتمنى تكون هالحلقة عجبتكم. بشوفكم بحلقة قادمة. اكتبوا لي بالتعليقات اذا بتحبوني اجرب العاب ثانية، وبشوفكم بحلقة قادمة. مع السلامة.